Now that you have watched the video, I will introduce you to the animals. The first animal I would like to introduce is the elephant, or to be more specific, the African elephant. This animal is the largest current land living mammal to live on Earth. An elephant can grow up to 3 meters tall, and a full grown elephant can weigh between 4,000 and 7,500 kilograms. You can tell a lot about the elephant by its appearance. African elephants' ears are shaped like Africa, and the Indian elephant ears are shaped like India. That's an easy way to tell the two species apart. The African elephant tusks never stop growing, so it's easy to compare elephants' ages. The longer the tusk, the older is the elephant. Both female and male African elephant have tusks, and especially these tusks are the main reason for people hunting the elephant. The elephant tusks are very valuable, and even though it's illegal to kill elephants, people kill them just to use their tusks. Many other animals with tusks or horns also go through the same fate as the elephant. But the reason it's mostly elephant is that the elephant tusk is the most useful because of its particular texture and softness. The next of the big five is the African buffalo. This mammal lives between 11 and 22 years in the wild and can grow to weigh more than 800 kilos. The buffaloes are able to live in many different habitats. They can live anywhere from semi-arid bushlands to coastland savannas or lowland rainforests. Their only actual necessity is an easy access to water. This might be the reason that the buffaloes are found in most parts of Africa. Buffaloes are often seen covered in mud. This is a way for them to clean themselves from ticks and parasites that latch into their skins. Buffaloes may also be seen with a bird on their back. Yes, a bird. The oxpecker is the species of bird that will often be seen on the back of buffaloes or many other different animals. This is another way for the buffalo to get cleaner. The oxpecker eats lice and fleas off of the animal. This both provides food for the bird as well as cleans the buffalo. Buffaloes live in flocks of 50 to 500 most of the time. Anyhow, in rainy seasons, they will combine their flocks so that there are approximately 1,000 buffaloes in one flock. This prevents predators such as leopards, hyenas, and African wild dogs. However, the biggest threat for a buffalo are lions. Buffaloes in flocks are very important to one another. They will often try to rescue each other if someone has been caught. It has on several occasions been seen that a flock of buffaloes have killed a lion for killing one of their mates. This brings us to the next animal, the king of Africa, the lion. The lion is known for its big scary teeth and claws and the large mane. But these otherwise scary looking cats also have a calm and friendly side. The lion live in groups called prides. A pride consists of around 15 lions. The lion community does not have a lot of gender equality. The female lions in the prides are the one who hunts, and even though they come with the food, the male is the first to eat. But this does not mean that the male lion just lies around all day. The male lion's number one task is to protect the pride from predators. Since the male is the strongest, it's their job that no one gets eaten. Although the lions have many enemies, the biggest threat for the lions is habitat loss. Once the lions were found in not only Africa but also in Asia and Europe. But now humans have used lions' living space for our own good. The only place except for Africa to have wild lions is the Sisangir National Park in India, which was built to protect the lions. Many people fear lions even though they have probably never met one. This might be because of its many scary features and abilities. The lion's roar can be heard from a 5-mile distance and are able to run for short distances at 50 miles per hour. The lion is the third largest cat in the world, but most importantly, the lion and I have one common talent. It's able to sleep up to 20 hours a day, if that isn't a dream. Our next animal is also a cat. This cat, however, is very different from the lion. It's the leopard. The leopards, as many other wild cats, don't live in groups. The leopards only spend time with other leopards when they're mating or raising their young. Leopard are the least seen of the big five, since they mostly hunt at night. They have a very interesting way of hunting. Leopards can climb trees where they'll both hide their catch but also attack their victims from above. The leopards are also good swimmers and therefore also eat fish and crabs. Because of their spots and colors, the leopards easily disguise themselves in trees and grass, which makes them very difficult to hunt and also makes sure that their prey doesn't see them before they attack. This brings us to the last animal in the group of Big Five. It's the rhino. The rhino in the Big Five is actually called the white rhino. However, all rhinos are gray. The name comes from the Dutch word wijd, which means wide and refers to their wide mouths. When the Dutch first came to South Africa, they named a lot of the South African stuff, so many Dutch words might be found in some of the South African language. The rhino is the most endangered of the big five, therefore they are extremely well protected. There are approximately 17,000 rhinos left in the entire world, and the reason for the extreme hunt of rhino is like the elephant, their horns. Asia had a high illegal trading of rhinos because people want to use their horns. The illegal rhino hunt has even gotten to a point where people use drugs, poison, crossbows, and high caliber weapons to kill rhinos. But in national parks and reserves, the rhinos are well guarded because rhinos have a very little chance of surviving in the wild. These were the big fives. The reason for exactly these five animals is because of how difficult they are to hunt, as I said earlier. These animals are some of the animals that people know the most live in South Africa. However, there are some South African animals that might just surprise you. One thing that most definitely surprised me is the African penguin. I always imagined penguins living where there is snow, but it turns out that penguins are also found in Africa. The African penguins are found in the west coast of South Africa, around Namibia. And even though they live in warm climates, the penguins like to be as cold as possible. They have a pink area above their eyes. This helps them to cool down, because their bodies send blood to the pink spot, where the blood in the air makes it colder for them, the hotter it is, the pinker is the spot. Next we have the pygmy shrew. This is the smallest mammal in South Africa and also the smallest mammal on Earth. The pygmy shrew looks a bit like a mouse, but with a long snout like a small elephant trunk. These cute furry animals weigh approximately 5 grams and grow to a length of 5 centimeters from tail to snout. The animal eats insects and they live around a year, but their actual lifespan is not known since they mostly die from being eaten by bigger animals. The next animal is also a small one, however not as small as the pygmy shrew. This is the Cape dwarf chameleon. The Cape dwarf chameleon is a pretty endangered species. The grown Cape dwarf chameleon is different shades of green and gray, and their average length is around 14 centimeters. The Cape dwarf chameleon's tongue can be as long or even longer than its body, and it's been recorded to shoot up to a speed of 20 kilometers per hour to catch prey. They primarily eat small insects and drink by licking raindrops from leaves. The last animal in this presentation is the pangolin. This is a very funny looking animal. The pangolin is a mammal covered in scales, which makes them look like pine cones. When they're threatened, they roll into a ball and the scales protects them. The pangolins are being hunted a lot. Their meat is considered a delicacy in Africa, and in Asia they use their scales for medicine. WWF have made a law against hunting pangolins, but illegal hunters still kill thousands a year. That was all the animals I would introduce to you today. But now comes the great question. Where can you see them? South Africa has a huge variety of national parks and wildlife visiting zone. These parks may sound like a bad thing, and so does many people think. People believe that the otherwise wild animals are being trapped like in a zoo, but that's not quite the case. These parks aren't just for tourists visiting to explore the magic of Africa. Most of South African national parks have other purposes too, some of which are to protect the animals from being hunted too much, which leads to extinctions of species. Many South African animals have extinct because of overhunting. The national parks also help the animals breeding to avoid inbreed. And with all of that in mind, the animals aren't locked up in cages. Most of them go around without even suspecting that they're in a national park. I have chosen a couple of parks to present to you, but first I would like to show you my second product. My second product is a map of South Africa with most of the national parks. I have added as many as possible, but there are some parks that are small or don't allow visitors, and therefore I have not added them. You can, by looking at the map, see that the Western and Eastern Cape, which are the two most southern provinces of the 9 South African provinces, are the part of South Africa that has the most national parks. Let's start with Kruger National Park. On the map you can see it as number 8. The park is located in the most northern province, Limpopo. Kruger National Park is both the biggest and oldest of all parks in South Africa. The park has eventually become as big so that it is no longer just in Limpopo, but also in Mpumalanga. The park is more than 20,000 square kilometers, and it is said to be the most interesting African safari destination because of the many animals. Next is Addo Elephant National Park, which is located in the opposite end of South Africa, in the Eastern Cape. Even though the park is called Elephant, it does not just contain elephants. The park started as an elephant protecting reserve, but later became a national park with many different animals. The last park on my list is the Mountain Zebra National Park, which is located not far from Addo Elephant Park. This park opened in 1937 with the purpose to protect mountain zebras, which were really endangered at the time. Thanks to the park, the mountain zebras are now safe. This park is not as big as the two other I have mentioned. The park is only 284 square kilometers and only contain a dozen mammal species and 5 bird species. But this park with a great history because of their work with saving the mountain zebras. That was all I had for you today. I hope you have learned and been inspired by the South African wildlife. And to answer my main question, what is it that the wildlife of South Africa has that's not found anywhere else? I'll just say that South Africa's wildlife is almost magical, with all of the different species and how they live, and mostly all the people that help and protect the South African wildlife from hunting and ruining our planet's beautiful nature.